Bananas are an incredibly nutritious fruit, rich in potassium which helps stabilize blood pressure, vitamin B6 that boosts memory, and fiber that supports digestion. Do you have a bunch of ripe bananas at home? Or maybe you just bought a whole stalk, and within a few days they're spotted and overripe. You eat them up quickly, but then you end up with leftovers you feel bad about wasting? But eating plain bananas all the time can get boring, especially for kids or older adults, making it easy to lose interest. Instead of letting overripe bananas go to waste, let's use them to make an incredibly simple cake. Not only is this recipe economical and solves the problem of excess bananas, but it also makes a nutritious snack or breakfast for the whole family. The best part is that anyone can do it. You don't need any complicated equipment, just a bowl, a whisk, and a little bit of care. So, let's get in the kitchen and make this wonderful baked banana cake right now. First, you need to pick the ripest bananas. They should have some dark spots or be deeply colored, that's what we're looking for. Remember this, the riper the banana, the more starch converts into simple sugars, making it naturally sweeter and giving it a richer aroma. If you use green or just slightly ripe bananas, the cake will taste faintly sour and won't smell as good. It won't meet the standard. Now, let's start peeling the bananas. This seemingly simple action actually has a very important trick to it. Make sure you remove all those white, fibrous strands running along the banana peel. When these fibers bake at high heat, they tend to turn dark brown. Not only does that ruin the look, but these strands also have a slightly bitter taste that affects the overall flavor of the cake. Place the clean bananas into a large bowl. I'm using about 2 ripe, soft bananas here, which should be equivalent to 300 to 400 grams of banana flesh. And now for the most crucial step in this part, mashing the bananas. Many people have the habit of using a blender to puree bananas quickly, but that's actually a big mistake. When you use a blender, the banana cells are completely destroyed, releasing too much water and pectin. Too much liquid will make your batter runny, resulting in baked goods that are greasy, mushy, and lose their fluffy structure. On the other hand, if you mash it by hand, you are simply separating the banana pieces naturally. Just mash the bananas very gently, leaving them in small chunks about the size of a pea or a corn kernel. When you mash them, you'll notice some liquid is released. Don't worry, this liquid, along with the fiber, will help keep your cake naturally moist without needing much added fat. The fiber in the banana also helps slow down sugar absorption, which is great for people who are dieting. After mashing the bananas, we're going to crack 2 fresh chicken eggs into a bowl. Store-bought or industrial eggs are both fine. Eggs are a perfect source of protein. They help bind all the ingredients together and give the cake a light, fluffy structure. Using a whisk or chopsticks, beat the egg and banana mixture until it's completely combined. You don't need to be too forceful with your movements, just mix gently until the whole mixture is a uniform golden color. By mashing the bananas like this and mixing them with eggs, you leave some pieces of banana intact, and those will be the highlight of the cake. When you bite into it, you'll be surprised by the burst of pure fresh banana flavor, making the experience much more fun and appealing. Now for the most crucial part, the step that determines the smoothness and texture of your cake, sifting and mixing the flour. First, you'll need to prepare a fine mesh sieve. Place the sieve directly over your banana and egg mixture bowl. Slowly pour the flour into the sieve and gently shake it. It's best to use a whisk to sift the flour through the mesh. This helps ensure that the powder falls down evenly. Why do we have to sift the flour? Flour, especially when stored for a while, tends to clump up because of humidity. When these clumps get into your cake, they create dry patches and make the cake feel dense or tough. Sifting not only makes the flour light and airy but also filters out any impurities and creates lots of tiny air pockets within the powder. Can you add a little more baking soda? After sifting all the flour, we start mixing. This is an extremely sensitive stage. Use a spatula or wooden spoon to mix. The golden rule here is, mix as little as possible. Many people tend to overmix the batter, mixing it very thoroughly and for too long, because they worry that the ingredients haven't fully dissolved, but that is a serious mistake. When flour comes into contact with liquid, from the eggs and bananas, two proteins, glutenin and gliadin, bond together to form gluten. The longer you knead and mix, the more and stronger the gluten becomes. If you overmix, the gluten network will become super strong, resulting in a cake that is rubbery instead of light and fluffy. This is why many people bake goods that turn out tough and dry, even when they followed the recipe correctly. So, how do you mix it right? You need to use the folding technique. Use your spatula to gently lift the flour from the bottom up, while slowly turning the bowl clockwise. Continue this motion until you no longer see any visible streaks of dry flour, and then stop immediately. At this point, the mixture might not look perfectly smooth, it will still be slightly lumpy. Please remember this, stop when all the dry flour is gone. Do not try to mix anymore. Next, add 80 to 100 milliliters of unsweetened fresh milk to the mixture. This will thin out the batter, increase the richness, and help give the cake a beautiful brown color thanks to the Maillard reaction during baking. Pour in 60 to 70 milliliters of cooking oil, or melted unsalted butter, into the mix, but do not use olive oil because its scent can change easily at high temperatures. The oil acts like a coating on the flour molecules, which prevents gluten from forming, keeping the cake soft and preventing it from becoming tough. The fats in the oil also help make the cake airy and keep it moist for longer, so it won't dry out after a few days. When the batter reaches the right consistency, it should be smooth and thick enough to pour continuously from your whisk. This is the ideal texture for a soft, fluffy cake. Once the batter is perfect, we're going to move on to pouring it into the molds. I use aluminum molds because aluminum conducts heat really well. It helps the cake bake more evenly and faster than if I used glass or silicone. First things first, though, we need to grease the molds. Just pour a little bit of cooking oil in there. Make sure you spread that oil all over the bottom and up the sides. Pour the batter mixture into the pan. Important note, only fill it up to about 2/3 of the way. This is because the cake will rise when it hits the heat. If you overfill it, the rising batter will overflow, which can look messy and make it difficult to take out later. Now, to make the dessert look nicer, I'm going to cut the banana slices lengthwise. Gently arrange 2 of these sliced bananas on top of each mold, and press them down just a little so they sink in slightly. This layer of bananas will create a beautiful caramel color when baked, making it fragrant and adding natural sweetness. Following these steps, you'll have 2 finished cakes. Now, please remember to only fill the molds about 2/3 of the way like this. If you overfill them, the batter will bubble out. And finally, for the grand finale, the moment of magic, baking. Preheat your oven to 160 to 170 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes before baking. This helps stabilize the heat and ensures even rising right from the start. Place the pan in the center of the oven for the most even heat distribution. Baking soda releases CO2, which makes the cake rise, proteins solidify to create structure, gelatinized starch keeps it soft and tender, and the Maillard reaction creates that characteristic golden brown color and aroma. To check if the cake is done, insert a toothpick into the center. If it comes out clean, it's ready. If it's still wet, bake for another 5 to 7 minutes. Bake in the oven at 170 degrees Celsius for 40 to 50 minutes. This lower temperature and longer time allow the cake to cook thoroughly from the inside out without burning. Let the cake cool in the pan for 10 minutes after taking it out, which helps stabilize its structure and prevents it from collapsing. Once cooled, remove the cake from the pan and let it rest on a cooling rack. This allows air circulation and steam to escape, preventing the bottom from getting soggy. The result is a golden, wonderfully fragrant loaf with slight cracks on top, a sign of perfect rising. It's a way to utilize ripe bananas into a nutritious, low-bad fat treat that's ideal for a healthy breakfast. Once the cake has cooled down a bit, cut it into slices about 1 to 1.5 centimeters thick. Use a serrated knife and gently saw through the slices so they don't crumble. The resulting slices are a warm yellow color, dotted with bright yellow banana pieces. They look delicious just by looking at them. You can taste the sweet tang of ripe bananas, the rich creaminess from the eggs and oil, and how soft and fluffy it is. If you can't eat it all right away, you can store the cake at room temperature for 1 to 2 days by keeping it in an airtight container. For longer storage, wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator. It will keep for about 3 to 4 days. When you want to eat it, just reheat it in the microwave or air fryer for a few minutes, and the cake will be soft and fragrant, just like fresh out of the oven. To sum up, with this recipe, you save money, get a delicious dessert, and ensure good nutrition. The tips I just shared, using ripe bananas, mashing them by hand, sifting the flour, and mixing gently, will guarantee that you succeed right from your first try. It's how we turn small things in the kitchen into something wonderful and smarter. Remember, cooking isn't just about making food, it's about understanding and appreciating the ingredients. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and share it with friends so they can learn too. This video ends here. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave them below. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to subscribe to DIY Smart Life so you don't miss out on more useful and helpful life hacks videos. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I wish you success with your first batch of banana cake. See you in our next interesting video. Smart idea, better life.